Hey everybody, Brandon with Bearded CB82, and on today, the first official starting off diesel do's and don'ts, we're going to be covering electrical. Now, as you saw in the introduction video to this portion of the series, or sublet if you will, I showed you guys this. And we're going to go over this as soon as I get the camera flipped around so you guys can stop looking at my ugly mug and see what I'm talking about. All right, so as you can tell, there's obviously some certain stars to our show. Yeah, these two wires, which were side by side on a harness, and I'll go ahead and insert a picture here. That was part of a headlamp harness for the whole front end of the truck on a Volvo. One of the companies we recently acquired has a chunk of Volvos, and this one in particular had about 1 million miles. Well, it had 1.3 million miles on the truck. Now, it wasn't so much the age of certain things, the standard wear and tear you'll sometimes see in harnesses that really started to irk me, or the other guy, which spent 2.5 hours as well on the back harness for the tail lights while I did the front harness. Had to redo all that. Was when you open the hood and the first thing you see, you can tell by all the green in there, it's corroded, and you can tell by the little bitty puncture indent right there that they did not use their crimpers correctly, or as you can see on this one and then on that one. And you guys, you get the picture. So, and then to least of fixing that, which was only a portion of the issue, one of the biggest pet peeves of all. Somebody back probed, well, didn't bother to back probe, I should say, but rather stuck their test light directly into the harness on every single wire on this guy, and I couldn't, pins didn't want to pull out in order to repin it. Air compressor. But they also did it on the other side as well. Most people use their common sense and just test the pins. So this is your don't do this, you know. You find Carl and you go kick him in the nuts because he just made your day so much better. Yeah, this was power side, this was headlamp side. And why not just pull it apart and check to see if you're getting power? If you've got a broken wire somewhere around the hood where the harness goes through it, at least then you can eliminate it. You know that, hey, you've got power here when you should. Simple as that. Not sticking your test light directly into the frickin' wire when you can pull that out. Or, yeah, there's this about maybe 8 inches of wire, total of 4 splices on both sides. It's easier if you've got a wire that's rubbing in multiple spots. Cut out all this crap and just go one wire, jump it across where you need to. It makes sense. So remember, no pokey pokey in the wire. That's a big no-no. Now what you do want to do, like I said, pull your harness apart if you're able and go that way. Some people do this because it's what they'll do on their own vehicles, but by geez, if there's no other way for you to check voltage, if it's a really long drawn out harness, you go back and you'll repair it properly using a butt connector or a regular connector, a solder connector, then go over that if you have to with some heat shrink. These are already the heat shrinks. And voila. You don't have to, you should not have to worry about it. So, And then onto our tool side, I would recommend a good test light. What brand and branch or tool name? Get one that lights up. My first one was an Evercraft one from Napa, and it didn't even work right from day one, good ground or not. Freaking jumpered it across the battery, nothing. So get yourself a pretty decent test light. So when you do have to go and check your connectors, see if you got power. Then also, one thing to not do is use the wrong side of your crimpers. If you've got a set akin to this, if it's an insulated, such as a heat shrink connector, you do not use the pointy end. You go, well, it's kind of corroded over. These are many years old. It actually says insulated and then non-insulated, which is underneath the rust right there and there. But your insulated crimper is the one you want to use. So do use your wire strippers and crimpers appropriately. Yeah, I know there's a couple different brands that have something akin to this. Use what you want, but use appropriately the crimpers to save you or somebody else a whole bunch of headache. Now, should you use heat shrink butt connectors, obviously you see that there is a little bit of a variety here. So you've got your standard this is 12 to 10 gauge. This is 10 to 12 gauge on this side, and then the blue ring indicates that you can step down to 14 gauge, and there again 16 to 14 gauge, and then a 18 to 22 gauge right there, and then 18 to 22 there, and they keep on going smaller, and you can even get bigger. Case where you might need to use one like this is where you have a factory splice connection that you need to cut out because maybe it did get bad. Maybe somebody probed into it without repairing it properly with their test light. So you'll take the one wire, crimp it down to here, take your two wires, if they're, roughly 14 gauge-ish, and stick them in there, crimp her down, there again, using the appropriate ones, and they do make larger ones for these larger guys. I think mine are at home. Use your tools wisely and correctly, and you're going to save yourself a lot of headache down the road, and somebody else a lot of headache down the road, especially if it's in the same shop and they know that you did that. They might come and put their size 14 boot up in your hind quarter, break half of it off, and they'll still have enough to walk home on. That's one thing to consider. You don't want to really piss somebody else off if you're brand new in a shop or newer in a shop, either way. So, and obviously, your set of dikes or side cutters, use whatever you want. I do enjoy these larger Nipexes because I can really get onto stuff with them. Now, these two are the ones that I will use primarily. These mostly, but if I'm up into an area where it's very hard to strip with these guys, where I can't really get onto the wire too much, I do keep these little guys around so I can still get up there, strip. Then I can take my butt connector and I can go up in and then crimp that on and then continue on with the lead end. Makes that a little bit easier for me. I'll have to try to insert a picture here if I can get a hold of one on what I'm talking about there, in case you're curious. Then also Gardner Bender. These are more for your industrial electrician type, which was what I had them for, more so for home use, but because I really liked them. These are very good. You have solid core wire for your copper for your housing, your stranded wire sizes for your stripping, pretty cut and dry. You've got your, you can thread in your screws, cut them off to length, you know, for your outlets, things of that nature. And then for your regular crimp connectors, your non-insulated type that are more dry for interior use, it does have obviously a multitude of options there for different sizes. Pretty fair. And then obviously a coaxial, and it even comes with a built-in sniffer. Batteries on the sniffer died a while back, so that doesn't really work, but I really don't do industrial or residential anymore. But these are a good set. You can buy these at Home Depot or Lowe's just as an option. But either way, get yourself something with a good insulated and non-insulated crimper. Remember when to use each. And then keep one of these little guys around because they do come in handy. You'd be surprised. And then get yourself a relatively decent torch. I've already heard the stories about why I had to buy this one, because I had a Harbor Freight one and it decided to try and blow up in my hands while working alongside of a CNG truck. It will make you pinch a little bit off in your shorts. So get yourself a pretty decent, you know, you might be spending $20 to on up the line to this guy or more, but do get something that's going to last you a while, because you will use the crap out of these. So there you have it. Pretty much a rundown, do's and don'ts. Don't be that guy, by all means. So occasionally, if you're on the side of a road on the interstate because a tractor got pulled over and they had a light out and it was due to a harness issue, DOT wouldn't let them move till it was fixed, and you're on that road call, you're gonna do what you have to do safely, efficiently, quickly in order to get that truck rolling again. There's a little bit of give and take there, but odds of you being fresh into a shop and having to go ahead and be put on a duty call right off the bat if you're out of school or somewhat out of school, the odds of you going on a road call are pretty slim. You're going to be in the shop, you're going to be lubing, you're going to be fixing taillights, crap like that. So remember, keep those things in mind. Little bitty things like that also do go a long way, not just with a customer, but in the shop as well with other people that you work with. A little bit of a detail, don't take too overly long on said detail, but a little bit of attention to detail, it can go a little bit of a way, and it does look good on you. So remember, shop safety is just as important as firearm safety. You screw something up, somebody could die, and yeah, don't go wiring crap crazy. You'll piss somebody off. Later.